From Relay FM, this is Connected, episode 166. Today's show is brought to you by Away. Timing and encapsulated today is a very spooky episode because it's Halloween. My name is Mike Hurley, and I'm joined by Federico Viticci. Ciao, Federico.
Ciao, Mike.
And Mr. Stephen Hackett. Hello, Stephen Hackett.
Hello, Michael Hurley. I thought that you may give us spooky names like people do on Twitter, which I think is the dumbest thing people do on Twitter.
Please don't. Please
when
do
I
not.
said spooky, my brain was like scanning and I couldn't do it in time.
So maybe we should try it now? Like Frightening Federico?
Okay.
I think it's pretty good.
Oh, I like it. Frightening Federico, Scary Stephen, and
Malicious Mike.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Malicious Mike, Frightening Federico, and Scary Stephen.
Yeah.
They are our Halloween names.
Yeah, it's my least favorite Twitter meme.
We have a huge show today, so we should probably start with follow-up with the most important anticipated piece of follow-up item in a while. Federico's NVIDIA Shields. If you listened to last week's episode, for some reason, Federico bought an NVIDIA Shield, and there was a specific reason for this, and we asked our listeners to send us in some suggestions. So I wanted to read a couple of them that I thought were a little bit compelling. O-Players said to play PC games because there is some software that they have where you can set up something on a Mac or a PC and you can play these games over the internet. Bob, Boris, and Costas all guessed emulators of some description, like many different emulators of old Nintendo consoles. Ferris was wondering if it was to do with HEVC playback. Eric and Paul thought that Federico was buying this for his baker. And Neil believed that it had something to do with home automation or camera systems. So Federico, why on earth did you buy an NVIDIA Shield?
So I feel like no one really got the specific reason why I bought the Shield, but you, Mike, and Ferris got the closest to the real story here. So it was for Plex, but it was for hardware-based decoding of videos played through Plex.
Oh, I'm taking that.
We said Plex on the show last week.
Yeah, we spoke about
you spoke about Plex, but I asked you why, because I told you I said on the show I already have Plex on my Synology. Why would I want to use Plex on the NVIDIA Shield? And you said I need to think about this some more. So
I'm awarding myself half of a mic point for that.
It's a half of a mic point and also half for listener Ferris because HEVC playback is indeed part of the story here. So yes, the reason is I like Plex. I've been using Plex for years on my DS214 Play Synology NAS. And it's fine, but every time I was playing a video, whether it was a TV show or a movie, it took a long time to buffer the video because the chips inside the Synology were not powerful enough to do the decoding, hardware-based decoding to stream to my iOS devices. Because Plex does a bunch of things, whether it's called direct stream or direct playback. Most of the time, if you're not feeding the correct format, which tends to be MP4 container, H.264, and AAC audio. If you do not do that, Plex needs to do some decoding on the fly as you're watching the video. And with my Synology, that was always super slow, and my girlfriend and I were getting annoyed by the fact that as we're watching a movie, it starts buffering and it pauses and it takes minutes to do another like chunk of 5 minutes of decoding, and that was super bad. But we didn't want to stop using Plex because we like Plex, and so I did a bit of research and I realized by watching some YouTube videos and reading on the various Plex forums that the cheapest way to get hardware-based decoding via Plex and also while keep using my Synology as basically a ton of storage was to get an NVIDIA Shield and hook it up to my Synology, use the Synology for basically just hosting the files and the NVIDIA Shield to run Plex Media Server. So the NVIDIA Shield can get the actual movie and files from my 4 terabytes of storage on the Synology, and the Shield takes care of decoding those to a compatible format for Plex on iOS and Apple TV. That is the only reason why I bought the NVIDIA Shield in the first place, because I wanted to have a faster Plex experience and to be able to have transcoding sessions or streaming sessions without buffering and without having to wait several minutes just to watch a movie. as I did this, so last week I set this up. It's very easy. You log into your Google account and you on the NVIDIA Shield. Then you confirm with the code on your iPhone, and you're off to the races. You just need to update Android TV, which is what the NVIDIA Shield uses, and then you can start using the Shield. And the only thing that I needed to do was to configure my Synology with the NVIDIA Shield as an external storage source. This is the kind of stuff that you can do on Android TV. You can basically scan your network for compatible storage devices, and the Synology showed up right away because, of course, it's on my network. But I had a bit of a struggle initially, because all of my basically the Synology was being recognized by Plex, but the videos were still super slow. And so I spent a couple of days obsessing over this problem. We had already talked about it on the show, and it would have been really bad if I couldn't figure this out before the next episode. So I did more research, and I realized that initially I thought it was going to be some kind of permission problem with accessing files and folders on my Synology. But it turns out that the NVIDIA Shield comes with a built-in version of the Plex Media Server, which is an old one. And to get the best experience and the latest features from Plex, I needed to install a beta version of the Plex Media Server from the Google Play Store. This is all done natively on Android TV. You can just basically go to the Google Play Store, search for Plex. Actually, before you need to sign up your Google account for beta access, and then you go to the Google Play Store and you see the beta, and it's all done sort of like test flight, really. And so I downloaded the beta of Plex on my NVIDIA Shield. It's a much more recent version, and it runs great. It's doing hardware decoding of videos. It can do multiple streams at a time. Like I was able to do like 2 to 3 1080p transcoding sessions simultaneously on the NVIDIA Shield, and I got the best of both worlds. I got the storage on my Synology, like 4 terabyte in RAID 1, and I also got the NVIDIA Shield that is behind a fast and efficient Plex experience. And this is the best Plex setup that I've ever had. I never had a powerful machine being able to do transcoding for videos on the fly as I was watching them. And of course, the NVIDIA Shield is, I don't know which version of the what's it called, the Snapdragon chip or whatever that Android devices use. But it's fast, and it takes care of multiple HD streams. In theory, it should be able to handle at least one 4K HDR stream, but I don't have a 4K HDR TV yet, so that's not a problem for me.
It's running an NVIDIA Tegra X1 processor.
All right, NVIDIA Tegra, right. So fast Plex, hardware decoding, no more wait times. It's really awesome. Like, I hit play on a video in Plex. I don't care about which format, which encoding it is. I tested with H.264, H.265 in HEVC, MKV containers, MP4 containers. Everything just works because the chip is fast enough to do the transcoding necessary for iOS devices and Apple TV. But in the process, I also got a chance to sort of play around with Android TV and appreciate the things that Google is doing on the big screen. And I gotta say, it's not too bad. It's actually very nice. I think from a UI perspective, from a navigation perspective, everything makes a little more sense to me than the tvOS UI. It's not too Androidish in the sense that, like, whenever I have an Android phone, and whenever I use Android, there's some UI metaphors that I never really understand, or just because they're so different from what I'm used to. But with Android TV, because I'm not a huge tvOS user with my Apple TV, I found the switch to be less cumbersome than switching from an iPhone to an Android smartphone. And there are some nice features, like Chromecast integration is built in. So you can, I was watching a video on my iPhone and with the YouTube app, and if you have an NVIDIA Shield hooked up to your TV, you can just beam the video to the Shield as a Chromecast device, which is really nice. And of course, it's got... because it's Android and there are no, those limitations do not apply, you can use Spotify as a native audio playback source. So I added my Spotify account, and with the recent update to the NVIDIA Shield software, there's also the Google Assistant. And you can ask to the Google Assistant on the Shield to play music for you, and it will play in Spotify, which was also really nice. And finally, I haven't played any games, I also got there's a game controller that came in the box. I don't care because I just want to play with Mario on my Nintendo Switch. But I can say that the remote, so there's in the box, I got an NVIDIA Shield Pro because it's got 500 gigs of storage. And I thought I would need that storage because sometimes when Plex is doing the transcoding, it caches some of the buffered video content into the local storage. So I thought, if I'm transcoding like 5 videos or if I'm downloading 5 videos because I'm getting on a plane, I want to be able to have a local cache instead of doing the back and forth with the Synology and the network. So in the box for the NVIDIA Shield Pro, you get the actual NVIDIA Shield with 500 gigs of storage, and you get the TV remote, and you get the game controller. The game controller, it's I don't know what it's like to use because I haven't downloaded a single game, but the TV remote is much, much better than the Apple TV remote. It actually makes sense. I feel like it's. I always pick it up in the right orientation. The buttons are nicely labeled, and there's an area somewhere in the middle that I think acts as a touchpad, so you can swipe up and down to adjust the volume and stuff like that. It's nice, and I mean, for something that I primarily bought as a home server for hardware accelerated Plex streaming, it also comes with Android TV, so I guess that's a nice plus. But overall, this basically, this NVIDIA Shield thing just sits next to my router and my Synology. Basically, I never turn it on my TV. And it just does streaming for video content to my iPhone and iPad. That's all.
And with that, we made our final evolution into becoming the Accidental Tech Podcast, as Federico spends time with hardware encoding machines looking for Plex. So congratulations, everyone. We did it. We made it.
Was this explanation satisfying to you, Mike?
Yeah. You definitely gave me a lot more information than I was expecting.
Right.
I feel like for Halloween we decided to dress as ATP. That's what we did.
So wait,
Federico,
I'm Casey here?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
All right.
Casey here in this one though, because Casey is the Plex guy, right? Like I'm
I mean,
sure he's
Steven
already
is obviously
feverishly
John.
writing down.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I happily will be Marco. So there we
All
go.
right.
Congratulations to all of us. I'm very surprised at the amount of power that the Shield has. I would not have expected it to be able to do everything that you was describing, like just the multiple encoding of videos. It wasn't a device that I necessarily considered would be that powerful when thinking about other devices and that it's competing against. Like the Apple TV. I can't imagine that could do that. Something like a Chromecast obviously cannot. It was interesting.
Yeah, the main difference is because it's Android. You can do stuff like you go into the settings, like the system settings of the NVIDIA Shield, and you can add multiple external storage sources. Stuff like Synology, for example, or even, it's got USB ports on this thing, so you can connect like a USB SSD and use it for external storage. This is the kind of stuff that you will never be able to do on an Apple TV. And so that allows me to keep my Synology and the money that I spend on my Synology have 4 terabytes of external storage, but also use a modern, TV box that does the hardware decoding behind the scenes, which is nice.
In your continued quest for the best keyboards for your iPads, David sent in to us the Slimbook Zag. Okay. It seems like on paper, for the 12.9, this thing has everything that you're looking for, Federico. Have you ever come across this product before?
So I think many, many years ago, I used to have a Zag keyboard.
They had like the Zag Folio or something, right? Like that was a pretty popular keyboard that they made.
Yeah, I think so. My only problem with this product, just 2 small things. One, there's no Italian layout. So if I were to consider this, I would have to get the English UK option. And the images in the screenshots are from iOS 8. So that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. I'm just saying.
How can you tell it's 8? Like I can tell it's not new, but
it's
look, newsstand.
I remember this is no the wallpaper and the music icon. It's iOS 8.
No, I just said, but there is newsstand. There is a newstand icon there.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Come on, guys, what are you doing?
TBT.
Yeah, out of principle, like just don't buy this, right? Like it's just like if you can't get that set, like I cannot trust your product. I just can't.
Exactly. It doesn't inspire confidence. Yeah.
because that's clearly not that device, right? Like in that thing. Anyway.
Remember when we used to care about screenshots? That was a different time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Gotta clean those screenshots.
Does Google Docs have drag and drop?
Nope.
No, and they also we don't have access to Google Docs anymore.
Yeah.
Well.
We were getting ready to record the show, and it seems so. A quick check on Twitter says this is happening. A big yellow arrow box shows up on the Google Doc for me because I own the document. This item has been flagged as inappropriate and can no longer be shared. When you hit request a review, it goes to a tab that is a 404 page on Google Doc support. So they're struggling today, so we're in Dropbox paper. But it's quite a scene over there.
I don't think Dropbox Paper has drag and drop either, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you know, Federico? I'm assuming no.
I don't think they do.
Okay. So nobody does, basically.
Yeah.
So if you want a collaborative editing suite,
I tried it into
Outlook.
editorial the other day, and then I thought, wait a second. This is the wrong app to be trying this.
That's not going to ever happen for you.
2025. A quick reminder that we are halfway through our Cool Fresh Gear pre-order. There'll be a link in the show notes. This is a t-shirt and set of 2 AirPod stickers to make everything in your life look like tiny things of floss, which I think are adorable and hilarious. It is a pre-order, so get your orders in by Monday, November 6th, and we'll get these shipped out mid-December. If you are a member of Relay FM, check your email. Last week, we sent an email out that includes some discount codes, so you can get 15% off this and anything else in the merch store. So I'm super excited about this. I think it looks awesome. Frank did a great job, and it's just it's a fun holiday little pre-order deal from Relay.
All right, this week's episode is brought to you by Away. Away are a team of thinkers, seekers, and designers, and they have made smart premium suitcases that you can get for under $300. So your luggage will never cost more than your plane ticket, because why should it? Why should your luggage be more expensive than the thing that you need to actually go get on the plane? That's wild. Something that I need constantly when I'm traveling is more battery. I always need more battery for all of my devices. And when you buy an Away suitcase, you can charge all of your devices while you travel, because both sizes of their carry-on feature USB ports of a battery large enough to charge your phone 5 times. Go to awaytravel.com/connected right now. You can browse their suitcases. They're all made with premium German polycarbonate, which is unrivaled in strength and impact resistance, whilst remaining really lightweight. I have the regular carry-on, and that thing is so light and easy to move around. They offer 4 different sizes. They have 2 sizes of carry-ons, and then they have a medium size and a large size, which are the more kind of regular suitcase sizes. And they have 9 fantastic colors for you to choose from. Away cut out the middleman so you can get first-class luggage at coach prices. They have a bunch of different other little features that I like their removable washable laundry bags. You can separate all of your clothes while you're traveling. They're all got TSA combination locks built in, so they're not going to get busted open if your case gets pulled out for inspection. All of their carry-ons are compliant with major US airlines, so you can maximize the amount that you pack while still being able to take it on board as a carry-on item. And they have a patent-pending compression system, so you can stuff loads of things in these Away cases, and you can zip them all up real nice, and there's a nice little pocket on it so you can pop your laptop in it. It's really, really, really great. I am a big fan of my Away suitcase. I love using it whenever I go on any short trips. I have the carry-on, and I have many times packed for like a long weekend with just the carry-on, and I can put everything in there. It's really, really great stuff. Away believe in the quality of their products. That's why they offer a lifetime guarantee. If anything breaks, they'll fix it or replace it for life. And they also have a 100-day trial with a no questions asked return policy, so you can take it with you on a trip, and if it's still not right for you, you can return it, and they'll accept that. They have free shipping on any order as well within the lower 48 states of the US. Travel smarter with a suitcase that charges your phone. To find out more, go to awaytravel.com/connected and use the code connected at checkout to get $20 off any of their suitcases. That's awaytravel.com/connected and the code connected for $20 off. Thank you so much to Away for their support of this show and Relay FM. So, Stephen, where is your MacBook Pro? Do you have it back yet? Did they fix the top case? I
do have it back. So what I shared last time was not the whole story. I went to the Apple store and had a Genius Bar appointment, whatever went, and they wanted to charge me $428 plus tax to repair this computer. Now, this computer is under the limited warranty until January. I've not purchased AppleCare to extend that, but it is under warranty. The genius, who was helpful, I have nothing against my interaction with him, basically explained it as, the butterfly switch, a little plastic piece that Phil Schiller was so excited about when they introduced it a couple years ago. That sits in little metal brackets on the top case, and the issue, the way my key failed, if you remember, the bottom part of it was flapping, and so the key was like smashing into those little metal pieces and bent them down. And his concern was that was accidental damage, which of course is just like complete fill in the blank, so I don't have to bleep this later in the edit. Like, it's ridiculous. And I told him that, and I was like, I really needed to speak to the service manager, and I explained it to her, how the key failed, and that I understood that that's what it was showing, and that this is why it was showing that. I do not play the I used to do this for a living card ever at the Apple Store, but I played it in this conversation with the manager. I was like, I understand what your genius is saying.
Oh, dang.
But this is ridiculous. It's not like I tried to put the key back on. It's not like I tried to like bend these things. Like, the key failed. This is a 9-month-old computer that's owned by a business. It's unacceptable. And so,
did you say, don't you know who I am?
I did not say that. I said, I've got a background in hardware repair, including at the store. Like, I understand that these things are fragile. I would not have gone in there with a tool trying to fix it myself. And so she, thankfully said, hey, we'll cover that. I understand your point of view. We decided to do it in the store because sending a covered repair to the repair center can get weird. If they find something else wrong, they have to get it okay. It can add a lot of time to it. So I kept the computer. They ordered the top case. So it's top case, keyboard, and battery is one component. Those parts came in, 3 or 4 days later. I take my computer out there. They're going to fix it. I'll have it back in 3 or 4 days. 3 days into it, I get a phone call. I'm like, great, my computer's ready. The computer's not ready. Turns out they also have to order a screw kit because something about the screws can't be reused, and they didn't. So they basically didn't have all the parts, which is ridiculous. And the Genius admin was like, we actually haven't done one of these in store. We send them all out to the repair center. At that point, I did not want anyone locally touching them. So, you haven't done this before? Like, send it to the repair center. They do these all day. And if it takes a longer time or something, that's on the store. That's the store's problem, not mine. So I go, they ship the computer to the depot for me. 2 days later, I get an email from Apple. Dear Mr. Hackett, we're trying to get in touch with you about your repair. Please call this number, reference this case number. So I call, and they need the firmware password for the computer. I have a firmware password on it. It means you can't boot it from an external device without the password. Clearly, they were doing that as a diagnostic at the depot, and the Apple Store didn't need it because they don't need that to do a repair internally, and they didn't think to ask for it when they sent the computer out for repair. So I give this person over the phone my firmware password, which is very complicated.
Let me ask you a question about this. I want to ask you a question about this process. Why do you have the firmware password?
Why do I have it? Because so I don't have it on my iMac because I travel with the MacBook Pro, and if it were to walk away or something, I wouldn't want somebody to be able to boot it and get into it. It's not anything you ever run into unless you try to boot it from like a USB drive or from recovery or something.
It's kind of like the reason for having it is negated by giving it to somebody over the telephone, though, right? Like,
but it's Apple.
It's like,
and honestly, I would change it when I got it back because I gave it to somebody else.
Okay.
So in my mind, I think they did not ask for an administrative password, and they're probably going to need it, right? So I hang up the phone. 2 hours later, Mr. Hackett, we're trying to get in touch with you about your repair. Please call us at this number. Reference this case number. I call them back. Now, I had created a administrator on this machine just for them. The username was Apple. The password was Apple. I give the nice woman on the phone that username and password. She says, great. Thank you so much. Hopefully we won't have to call you again. Like, because they have a record of all this. So she can see what I've been through already. At this point, I've been without the machine 6 days. So it's like 9 days or something since my first interaction. And then it's been gone for a while. So I finally get it 8 days later. It's gone a total of 8 days. I finally get it back. And it's fine. I'm not out the $428. The first thing I did in the Apple Store, open text edit, and type every single key. All the keys work. They all feel good, right? None of them are like uneven. So it's fixed. It's fine. But in the meantime, an episode of ATP came out, and I'm going to ruin this is a couple episodes ago now, so like, sorry. Marco Arment bought a late 2015 MacBook Pro to replace his Touch Bar because he just got fed up with it, which I understand. I'm not doing that, but I did have a 2012 MacBook Pro in the collection that it needs a battery, but it's fine. And I came into a situation where I needed a laptop while this thing was gone. Usually I don't need a laptop in town. I usually mostly use it for travel, or I just want to work from somewhere else, but my iMac is my main machine. So I needed it, so I migrated my user to it. There's a lot of funny stuff with that, including that this MacBook Pro now thinks it has Touch ID because I migrated it from a computer with Touch ID, which is pretty funny. There's a tweet about that in the show notes. So I've been using this late or mid 2012, whatever it is, Retina MacBook Pro, and I see, again, I don't think I'm doing this, but I see what Marco is saying, right? Like, it has all the ports I need. The keyboard is pretty good. It's still Retina. I understand why he did it. And like, I have this virus in my brain of like, maybe I just use the 2012 MacBook Pro for a while. And because at the end of the day, like, yeah, the Apple Store like screwed this up multiple times, but ultimately they took care of me. Ultimately they paid for the repair, which is all I wanted. Like, after that, it doesn't really matter how long it took, like, because I didn't have to pay for it. But the deal is, I now feel like this computer is a ticking time bomb. Like, I feel like this keyboard is just like one tiny piece of debris away from failing again. And I would not own a late 2016 MacBook Pro without AppleCare. Like, people can debate if AppleCare is worth it or not. I tend to do it because I know how expensive these repairs are on these computers. But at the same time, I could say I've had multiple computers over the years where I bought AppleCare and never needed it. But if the GPU goes out on this iMac, then whatever it was, $200 or $300 is worth it. If your keyboard dies on your MacBook Pro and it's $428 to get a key fixed, maybe you should buy AppleCare. So if I keep this thing, I'm definitely going to buy AppleCare for it. But I just don't want to. Like, I just don't. It left such a bad taste in my mouth knowing how much this repair is. I don't know what to do. So I have the 2016 MacBook Pro. It's here on my desk. I haven't really logged into it again. Like, I've just been using the 2012, and we'll just see what happens. But it was such a pain, and I at the same time, I think nerds experience this. We're going to talk about this later. I think when nerds have something happen with their computers or with their devices, like, it's sort of better than the average person, because I understand like how things can go wrong, like how repairs can be complicated. But at the same time, it also kind of makes it worse because I know how to do a good job at it. Like, I know what steps they could have taken. Like, that genius should have known better than trying to blame accidental damage on it. Like, I told him, it was like, you and I both know that these keyboards are fragile. Like, I don't know why we're playing this game. So it's been really frustrating, but it is back. Apple did take care of it ultimately. Any interaction I had with Apple was really like the second time I had to call them to give them the second password, like, you could just hear in her voice that she was like disappointed that she had to call me again, like that we had to have another interaction over it. So yeah, that's the story. It's been like 4 years since this key broke, it feels like, but now it's over until, another 9 months from now, and it breaks again. Whew.
Well, that was a story.
The problem is, you both have big stories today. The problem with this issue that I find is that it shouldn't cost nearly $500 to replace a key on a keyboard, and if that is what it costs, the product wasn't designed well.
Yeah, so I think we should clarify a little bit. If the key itself just breaks, they basically do it in store. They have a box of them, whatever. They pop one on, and they tried that at first, and then he took the time to actually see what was wrong. But if the top case fails, so if those little metal brackets bend or break, or if the key sits on a little rubber switch, if that breaks or falls off or is damaged somehow, then the entire top case is that $428. So it's top case, keyboard, and battery. And a lot of that expense is the labor, because the way these machines are built, they're built into the top case. So basically, you put them face down, and you take all the guts out of one, including the screen, and like attach it, like you're rebuilding the computer from zero. So I understand why it costs that, but I totally agree with you. It is ridiculous that such a simple failure can lead to such an expensive repair. And it is worse with this MacBook Pro because the keyboard is worse. But this is a flaw inherent to the unibody design, that since they started doing unibody with the original MacBook Air and then in 2008 when they introduced it into the MacBook Pros, this is the expense because everything is built into this one piece. And you have to replace that piece. A lot of stuff comes with it. And I'm not suggesting Apple get away from the unibody. I really like it. I mean, this machine is thin and light and amazingly rigid, but clearly you need to have some sort of thing in your system of like, if this key, if these keyboards have problems, we need a cheaper way to fix them. I still think that we could be in a situation where Apple opens a repair extension program on these keyboards. Like, hey, for 3 years, in or out of warranty, if your keyboard's failed, we're going to replace it for you. They should do that because this design, as you said, is inherently flawed.
Because the thing is, we've had unibody Macs for a while.
Yes.
But it's only now that there seems to be widespread keyboard problems.
Yeah, because the old keyboards are way more robust.
And could they be replaced without taking the top case off, the old ones, or did they still need that? Like, if you bust a key on your 2012, what happens?
So it's the same type deal. If that little rubber piece or one of the brackets is broken, it needs a top case. But the way they were designed, that was far less likely to happen. I mean, to really break one of these keyboards in a way that you need a top case, it would have to be accidental damage. You would have to like go in digging around with a dental pick. Now it's much easier for it to happen because the keyboards fail, and then it leads to this other issue.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like a bit of a mess
Keyboards
to me.
Connected. We are all just in keyboard pain. I feel like the last couple months, and it's just.
I'm okay.
You're okay.
Yeah. Microsoft Sculpt ergonomic keyboard on the Mac, and then I barely use the laptops, so I don't care, and I don't have problems. And then I use the smart keyboard because the smart keyboard is the best keyboard that Apple currently makes.
I agree with that.
Well,
the Magic keyboard is still pretty good. The external aluminum one.
I prefer it. I don't like the Magic keyboard. I never liked it.
That's fine.
I don't know why. It's just not for me.
That's fine. I like the smart keyboard too. I mean, I've been typing along the iPad, and like, keyboard's really good, especially on the 10.5. Like, the size is really nice. And it uses the same switches as my stupid MacBook Pro, but it's covered in cloth, so stuff can't get in. Like, just pull a Surface Book and cover the thing in a rug, and you'll be fine.
Fishing for titles there. I like it. Cover it in a rug. It's a good one. Federico, man, I'm just taking a nice little backseat today, but I've got something right for the end of the show, so we'll wait. Don't worry, I'll get my time. Federico, I see a note in the document here where you are concerned about fine art in your applications.
Well, it's just, this is something that Steven and I were discussing a few days ago, that it seems like there's a trend lately in these big services of sort of redesigning some key aspects of the like branding and splash screens and websites with this new artistic, these illustrations. And I find it fascinating because, especially, we talked about Dropbox and how they are putting this huge emphasis on this, this fancy redesign and the whole idea of letting your inner creative energy flow, whatever that means. And Todoist has also now added a bunch of illustrations to the service. Sort of, they're making these announcements. Now we have new illustrations, which. Now, I'm not against pretty things. Like, it's, if you want to have like these illustrations, it's fine. I think I think it's somewhat strange when like you do not expect art. You do not expect fine art from your water pipes. Like, utilities are not supposed to be showcased in a museum, And so I think it is strange. It's just strange to me to have this contrast between something that I use because it's useful, but I'm not expecting to be gaining an artistic sentiment out of that. And also having these companies focus on, now you have these beautiful illustrations in your to-do list. Well, I'm not sure I needed illustrations in my task manager, but sure, I'll take it. And when it gets to the extreme, such as with Dropbox, it's and they have this like site-wide redesign and a blog post and these major announcements. It kind of makes me wonder, have they focused on this for the past several months? So it's just something to sort of, we see these trends come and go with these big companies, big web companies. They have money, they can invest on this stuff. And of course, Todoist is just like a minor case of a bunch of splash screens. It's more exaggerated in Dropbox maybe. But I was thinking about why I find this strange. And I guess the problem is indeed that when I'm using some kind of software, because it does a thing, I'm surprised when that simple utility, that simple thing gets embellished with a bunch of illustrations. Like, I'm not expecting to see the Mona Lisa in TextEdit. You know what I mean? Like, there's that contrast, which I find strange. Yeah.
So for Todoist, it came with version 11.6 of their iPhone and iOS app. It's like the top bullet. A new surprise when you reach Todoist 0.
Yeah, that's the tone. Like, It's always like, there's something new for you to experience. No, it's not an experience. It's an illustration.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm opening my task manager and I'm taken aback by this magnificent
I was taken aback.
illustration. Like, no.
I think the problem with a lot of this stuff, and I mean, this is how things tend to be with software and services. Like, if they're not perfect for you, if there's something, you use them, but there's something about it that frustrates you. But like, whenever the company or the individual is working on something that's not something that you want, it's frustrating, right? Because it's like, why are you not fixing the thing or advancing the thing I want, but instead you're adding this other feature? It is exacerbated when that additional feature is a new illustration, because you just know people had to take time to do it, right? Like, these things, they don't just magically appear. So it's I get the frustration. Also, like, I'm with you that it's like, please understand what you are, right? Like, this is like a big thing with Dropbox right now. It's like, your customers don't care about the fact that you have created some beautiful illustrations. Like, this is not a thing that we care about. And so you don't have to position it like it is the best thing ever. Like, Dropbox should have published the redesign stuff, but they shouldn't have tweeted about it from the main Dropbox Twitter account, right? Like, it's not something that your customers should care about, like your internal ideas about your design. Like,
about life.
People don't care about that, right? Like, that is for you to do, and you should care about it, but you don't have to be like, look how amazing this is, and expect everyone to go, yep, I know it, right? Like, no, that's not how it works. So I
also,
like, really...
Like, realistically, it's not like I'm opening Dropbox and like I'm moving a bunch of folders around and I'm zipping documents. And then as I'm looking at the file manager, I realize, my life should be better. I should let my creative energy flow. It's not like that process does not exist. Like, there's no correlation between managing my files and suddenly realizing that my life needs to have more creative energy. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know what it is, but like, I feel like it is a thing where these services and these companies, they feel like they have to make you feel like they're more important to you than they actually might be. And I assume this is to keep you using their system.
Savage.
But
I don't know who this works on.
There must be some people that this works for. It's like I'm trying to understand why this bothers me, because I think it shouldn't bother me. Like, it's just a company doing a thing, but it's the trying to extract a feeling from my usage of your software that, like, on a personal level, like, just sync my files and let me move my folders on iOS. That's all I ask for. And instead, they're trying to get personal with me, and I don't want that. Like, and also the illustrations are kind of ugly. But I'm sorry, this is just
good.
taste.
The Dropbox ones, the Todoist ones are fine, right? They're fine.
Yeah. The Dropbox ones are,
So Federico, what you need to do and what I expect to see now, you review a lot of apps on Mac Stories. You and your team do an incredible job.
No.
Yeah.
I expect a section in every review now to discuss the type of art that's being used on screens that otherwise will just have text. Get
and
on it.
you can write that all in Italian or something, so it's more fine,
Yeah,
Right,
fine
that's
art,
like
fine
an Italian
text,
section.
fine
Yeah,
stories.
exactly. And it's like written in papyrus or something, so it fits that little section.
Papyrus?
Man,
Yeah.
I think your site's finally going to make it after this. This is going to be the turning
Yeah.
point into
This
success.
is it. This is your
Right.
breakthrough moment.
It is.
Yeah. This is what I need to do.
We
All right.
we talked about the iMac Pro a little bit on the show. I know Federico's super excited about it. I just wanted to point out there's this Final Cut Pro 10 Creative Summit that happens in Cupertino that Apple is involved with. I don't quite understand the relationship between Apple and this thing. Anyways, the iMac Pro was there on demo, and it looks really awesome. Space gray accessories, which look really sweet. Talks about Final Cut Pro 10.4, which will include color support and support for HEVC and direct import of iMovie timelines, which is cool. You can start on your iPhone or iPad and then move it to Final Cut. And this iMac Pro just seems awesome. People were doing like 8K footage on it, and it was taking it like a champ, whereas the late 2015 sometimes struggles on 4K. I think if you make video for a living and you aren't interested in a Mac Pro or can't wait for the Mac Pro, this definitely seems like a computer that could work for your needs. And I'm super interested in it. I want to see how it goes at launch, but I definitely have been thinking about this computer as a eventual replacement of my iMac. So,
Do you dream about it?
no, I don't dream about it, but
Okay.
Do you feel like an illustration would help?
I think so.
Like if they put like a nice colorful.
No,
like,
that's what I need
like-
now. That's what I need because my late 2015 takes so long to render 4K video. If Final Cut could just show me some illustrations while it's crunching video in the background, I think that'd be really nice.
See? Yeah.
So
I help your creative energy flow.
Yeah.
You know what a Johnny Ive illustration would
it's
be
just a
like?
white screen.
Just a white screen.
Like I understand about this iMac Pro, right? Like seriously, like I understand how difficult this thing is to build and blah 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 blah. Like it's very powerful. I really don't like those air vents on the back.
It needs it though.
It's very. I know it needs it, which is why I knew you were going to say it. Which is why I said I understand
Yeah.
it. Right,
Yeah.
I understand it needs it, but it looks
It's
very
like,
Windows
it's like,
PC.
It's like racing stripes.
I don't like them.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't like them, and they've done a good job of trying to hide them. And like, I never see that, right? Like, I'm never gonna look around the back of my Mac, but like, it is a little ugly.
Yeah, so I've talked to several nerds who do video and audio, names you would expect, and there are definitely some people who are super interested in this, and the people like Marco and me, I think of like, yeah, this looks great. I just want to see how it performs because they say that the airflow is like whatever they say, 18 times better, but it's only 10 times hot or something. Whatever it is, they seem to have headroom built in. But as long as it's silent while recording a podcast, like my late 2015 is, then I think it'd be fine for my uses. But I kind of want to see just because it's so new. I don't know if if I would wait to Gen 2 or like at the very least like see some reviews, have some people I trust use it for a while. I know Jason Snell's been thinking about it. He's doing anything multi-core, Final Cut, or sound cleanup or whatever. Any sort of those tasks would be faster, and speed is always good. Plus, the accessories are in space gray, so even if I don't end up with one, I'm sure I actually already have it on like my collection wish list. iMac Pro space gray input devices because it looks like the mouse Darth Vader would use if he used a bad mouse.
It would be in his little containment pod that he sits in.
Mm-hmm.
His cool office.
Spoiler alert.
Today's show is brought to you by Timing, the smarter way to track time. Time is your most precious resource. You need to know what you're doing with it. But manual time tracking can interrupt your workflow, it can be easy to lose track of, and it can be frustrating. Or sometimes you can set a timer and you come back to it 165 hours later and realize that you just never turned it off. But this is what makes timing different. Timing automates your time tracking to save you as much time as possible, and so you don't have to deal with these hassles. First, it automatically tracks how you spend the time on your Mac, broken down by app, website, and document. But that is a lot of data to work through, so timing lets you drag and drop to create rules that automatically categorize your time. Timing also understands that not all of your work happens on the Mac, and that's why it automatically suggests little gaps for you to fill in your timeline, so you never forget to track a meeting or a phone call. And it can automatically ask you what you did whenever you return to your Mac, so you can just enter it and get on your way. Timing is also available on Setapp as well, so you can check out the Timing website for more details about that. But you can download a 14-day free trial just by going to timingapp.com/connected, and you'll save 10% when you purchase. I think this is a great app. I love the graphs. I love the charts. I love the fact that it saves you from needing to deal with a ton of categorization because it does it for you. It's really, really nicely made. So go check it out right now, timingapp.com/connected, and you'll save 10% when you purchase, and you'll get a 14-day trial as well. Timing. Stop worrying about time and focus on doing your best work instead. So, did we make our pre-orders in time for the iPhone X? Stephen, did you make your pre-order?
I most definitely did. I was up at 2 a.m. my time, and I have a silver 256 gig with AppleCare Plus. I remembered this time, and I did not follow Federico's advice. I ordered it at the same time. My order closed at like 2:03 a.m. or 2:04 a.m., and I'm doing in-store pickup this Friday at 8:30 in the morning. So, thumbs up.
Wow, early.
Thumbs
early
up
bird.
here. Yeah, I got a busy day Friday, and the store's gonna be hectic, so just get it. It was the first one available. I was like, just get it out of the way, and so I'm excited. What about you, Mike?
Let's go to Federico first. I feel like we should get,
Oh no!
let's get Federico's situation
Mike.
out of the way, and then we can maybe go to mine.
I was able to pre-order my iPhone X, which should be coming on Friday. My setup, as I described last week, consisted of my MacBook Pro on Wi-Fi, my iPhone on 4G, and one of my iPad Pros, because now I can say that, Mike, one of my iPad Pros on Wi-Fi also. And the Italian time for pre-orders was 9 a.m. and I started refreshing at 8:59. And until 9:06 a.m., the website was down and the app was not loading. I was kind of getting concerned because I had Twitter streaming on my MacBook, and I was taking a look at people being able to put in their pre-orders. But at 9:06, the app became available on my iPhone, so on 4G. And I was able to do the pre-order in like 10 seconds. And my email that I got right away, my email says that at 7 minutes, basically 9:07, that's when I did my pre-order, and I paid with Apple Pay, so that took about like 3 seconds to complete. And I did not add Apple Care, and I did not select a pickup location. No, I'm gonna get Apple Care. I didn't want to add extra
That's
seconds
fine. Fair.
to the purchase process. So I am going to buy Apple Care Plus. I also did not set as I was thinking about, like, Sylvia was looking at my phone and she was like, do you wanna get it at the Apple Store? And I thought about it for a fraction of a second. Then I thought, no, it's going to ask me questions about the place where I want to go to, and I don't want to waste time, so I'm just gonna buy right now.
Yeah.
And I got the email right away. My card got charged the same day, and now supposedly it's coming on Friday.
I screwed it up.
No,
Oh,
Mike.
no.
I screwed
Did
it
you
up.
do, Mike? What happened?
I mean, I followed the teaching method, right? Like I had all different devices, all different situations, networks, all that thing. And then like the store refreshed, and I was able to, like, it popped up and it was like third for pickup. So like I went to do that, but then I don't know why I did this. I decided I should change the store to a different store in London. I don't know why I did this. It was so stupid.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know why I did it. It recommended a store that like isn't very easy for me to get to, but like I could have gotten to it, right? Like it's not a problem. But no, I was like, no, I want to get it from this store. So I ruined it. I ran out of time. Like by the time I got there, it was already like weeks away. So then I'm not thinking straight, right? So what do? I back out to try the other color. I don't know why I did this. It's all wrong. I was in a haze. It's like I've never done this before. And then I went into that, and it was like everything was unavailable to pick up. Then it was only a couple of minutes. So I have an order from Apple for a silver. It's not white. I keep getting told it's not white, for the silver iPhone X to be delivered between the 13th and 20th of November. Problem number one: I am going to America on the 16th of November, so I have a small window of time to receive this order. But I have some other options
Oh no.
going on right
Oh,
now.
no.
Options.
So
I have other options. It's very
Is one of the
intriguing.
I
options
have options.
a guy in an alley? Like, what are you doing?
Maybe
No.
that might be one of them.
You're gonna get mugged.
I placed an order for pickup at a store in a chain, very big chain in the UK called the Carphone Warehouse. It's huge. They're
People seem
huge
not to
distributor.
like them. Like just on
The
Twitter.
problem. Okay, so the problem with the Carphone Warehouse is this is very normal for them. They will tell you that the phone is going to be with you on release day. They will charge you, and then you get an email like the next day, and they're like, nah, it's going to be the 10th.
Oh no.
This is a very normal thing. But I have spoken to them, and they have told me it's the 3rd that I'm going to be able to pick this phone up. Everybody that I know that has called them, because I know a few people that did this, that called them, and they were told the 10th. I think they're all getting the Space Gray. So that might be a bit delayed. I don't know what's going on, but I've been charged. They told me it's for pickup. But I also have a potential resale opportunity from a very nice person. So I have a couple of options. I may end up with 2 iPhones. I don't know what I'm doing yet. This is like the Nintendo Switch all over again.
Day phone, night phone.
But yeah, I'm going to deal with it. If I do end up with 2, I already have a buyer for the second one. Don't at me. So I don't know what's going on yet, but I'll see. By next week, you'll know. I'm confident that I will be able to get an iPhone on Friday, but it's all still very like who knows-y.
Wow.
But I've ruined it. I don't know what I did.
That sucks.
I was awake like half an hour before, but
So
like
you just panicked.
I panicked.
during
I panicked.
Well,
I
that
don't
happened
know-
to me once.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I totally understand. Yeah, that's too bad. Well,
So-
you got options though. You got
I got
a bunch of
options. No,
backups. it
I'm
seems.
really
Yeah.
pleased that I have like a couple of options. There's even like there's like another option as well, where like another friend is like they have bought a phone, but it's not the one that they want, and if I don't get it, they will sell it to me, but it's also not the phone that I want, right? It's like a 64, but like so yeah, I have a bunch of options, which will mean that I will hopefully at least have a phone next week, so I can talk about it, and then I'll work out what I want to do after that. But fingers crossed. It's just yeah.
I have a second part to my story, which we're now getting to. We're now getting to the potential problem of my pre-order. So I will be driving on Friday
No.
because we need to do a few things.
No, this is unacceptable.
Hold on. So in theory, we are leaving at 11 a.m. around that time, and usually my UPS person and friend does not show up until lunchtime. And that is a problem, of course, because I want to get my iPhone on Friday. So I've been considering multiple options here.
No.
First,
no.
I need to understand whether the UPS guy comes usually at around lunchtime because he likes to have lunch to pick up like a slice of pizza at the bakery, or if the
This
lunchtime
bakery is so intrinsic to your life. Like I feel like your entire
it's a
world revolves around this bakery.
So the reason why this entire bakery delivery system started off in the first place, it's because the UPS guy had the idea, like he planted the seed of the idea in my mind, and then I decided to use that as a plan. But I knew that, like, he goes to this bakery to pick up something for lunch. Now, does the UPS guy have to do that, or can he come to my house and deliver the package at like 10 a.m. if I asked him to? But there's two problems to this. First, how can I ask the UPS guy to make an exception from his usual schedule? And second, am I sure that the delivery is going to be taken care of UPS? So I'm trying to address these doubts in two ways. So the second point, I'm trying an experiment. I pre-ordered, I bought other stuff from the Apple Store.
Yeah.
So I can see the UPS guy before and talk to him. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like
You know,
today and on Thursday.
So I'm just gonna say this, right? Like you could just grease his palm a little bit, you know?
No. Like
Set
I.
the- You know,
No,
just oil
once you go
wheel
down
a
that
bit,
road,
Federico.
you are always greasing the palm. That's a bridge you can't uncross.
No, because you just say like, on this occasion, could you please come to me at this time, and I would really appreciate it. And then you reach out
So
your hand, right? And you have
Hold
you have a
on.
cool 20 in it.
There's more. Hold on. So what I did is I told you that I didn't particularly care for wireless charging, but I bought the Belkin Boost Up charger anyway
Yeah.
because it had a delivery date of Thursday. So I thought, well, this is perfect because
Why didn't you just get
UPS.
a case or something.
Because it needed to be in the style of the iPhone 10. So the UPS guy comes to my house the day before, and I can talk to him, and I can be like, hey. Is there any chance like tomorrow morning you can maybe make an exception and instead of showing up at 1 p.m. you can be here at 10 a.m. It's the day before. This is perfect. And I was really excited because I had this plan. And last night, I get this notification from the Apple Store that says, your order is going to be to your house tomorrow instead of Thursday. I'm like, okay, tomorrow is Tuesday. It's fine. It will probably remember something that I asked him on Tuesday. It'll keep it in mind for Friday. And as I was thinking about this, like, is he really going to remember a question from Tuesday when it's Friday morning? And so in the meantime, I also bought something else from the Apple Store.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Like a cable.
Which keyboard?
No, a cable, like a USB cable. A
Oh,
USB-C
really?
cable.
This
I
poor
got
guy.
I got a USB-C cable that should be coming on
did you need
Thursday.
Or was it the cheapest thing you could find?
No, just the cheapest thing.
You should have just gone with the adapter, the headphone adapter.
So I thought I can ask him. I thought I can ask him a question on Tuesday, and then I can ask him the same question on Thursday, and then when it's Friday morning, he will remember my request.
So have you seen him today? Has he come today?
Hold on.
Oh.
This morning, I get the following notification from deliveries. It says, a non-UPS labor dispute has delayed your delivery. So there's a national strike for delivery companies. There are yesterday and today they are not delivering orders, and it seems that UPS is affected, even if it technically it's not a UPS strike, but some of the companies that they use, like truck drivers, for example, there's this national strike. So at this point, I'm not sure where the Belkin Boost Up charger is. The cable should be here on Thursday, I think, and all of this to say that my iPhone should be coming on Friday. I think I will be able to still get the phone because I signed up for UPS My Choice, which is this extra, additional service where you can monitor your delivery and
Quite
make changes.
possibly the hardest sign-up process
Yes.
for anything ever.
Yes.
It's almost impossible to do it, but once you do it, they give you more information about your packages. It is baffling to try and sign up for this service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So worst case scenario, I will make changes to my delivery from UPS My Choice and set like a pickup point. There are a bunch around my house. Official pickup points, not the bakery. Like stores when you need to show your ID, like stuff like that. But worst case scenario, I will just call the guy or text him because I have his phone number.
Wait, you have his phone number?
I have his personal
Why are you
cell.
doing all of this, Federico? You have his contact information.
It seems like an intrusion of his privacy to just call him on the phone and be like, "Hey, I'm the guy
Where did you get his phone
from
number?
Amazon."
Where did you get his phone number?
He gave it to no, he didn't give it to me, but he called me once. He called me on the phone and he was like, "This is my phone number," and so I saved his phone number.
Oh, that's
but
creepy.
I never used it. I never used it because it seems like a little too much, maybe.
I still think you need
No,
to
I
give
don't
him
wanna-
some money.
I don't-
he needs
I don't wanna-
a tip or a bribe, however you want to do it. But you gotta make this worth his while.
I'm
man.
struggling, man. I was thinking about this. All of these problems would be solved if we decided to move and go live in a building where there's a doorman that takes care of packages instead of doing this whole dance of the bakery and the UPS guy and being able to talk to the UPS guy before. Like, if we had an actual building with an actual doorman that would take care of these problems and these packages, that would be fixed. But
the other thing is, like, just to plan your week better and not be leaving the house on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, that
just cancel whatever it is.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Is it more important than an iPhone? You know, like, is anything?
I feel like I'm exhausted. I don't know.
I still feel serious. I make it. It's a joke, but like, I'm being serious. You need to make it worth this guy's time, because if he does this, if he actually does this for you, he's going outside of the route that is decided for him by the company. Right?
That's the
his
problem.
day is going to be worse.
No, you're gonna get him fired. Is what you're gonna do.
No,
don't do this.
As long as he delivers all these packages, he'll be fine.
I mean,
right?
the guy stops at a bakery to have lunch.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can be flexible.
Oh,
he
man.
can just, I mean, I don't know how this stuff works, but my assumption is, like, they give him a route so he can finish his stuff within the time that he has allotted for the day.
Yes.
So, like, he might just need to work a little bit later. So in that case, you got to make it worth his
So how
while.
much money is acceptable, Mike? What should the amount be?
Is it bribery?
Yes.
If it's a favor?
100%.
That's 100% bribery.
100%.
But how much?
This is
Yeah.
inconvenient.
I don't know, something like, well, okay, so this is the thing, right? You're spending like €1,000, right, on this phone.
Yeah. So
You give him 50.
So 5%.
Is it bribery if you talk about it before on a podcast?
Yes, it makes
It's
it more.
always
It makes it
bribery.
more bribery.
If you give him the money beforehand, it's bribery. If you give him it afterwards, it's a tip, right?
It's a tip.
No, but you've got to convince him to do it beforehand by giving him the money.
What if I promise a tip?
That's bribery. I guess that's bribery.
Oh, no.
Because you may as well give him the money at that point.
Well, are you uncomfortable with bribery? Isn't that? I mean, why?
Well,
Does that not happen in Italy?
I was trying to avoid that.
Well, all I'm saying is, okay, so just
it happens everywhere. It happens
doesn't
everywhere,
listen to this
Mike.
show, so I'm going to say it. Quite a lot of this happens in Romania. Like, there's a lot of this type of thing. Like, everybody's doing favors and giving each other money for it. Right?
It does happen a lot, especially in Rome with the
There
local
you go,
government.
see?
But I don't want to be like them. So I feel like there should be another way for me to convince the UPS guy to.
Why don't you give him some pizza, or just be like, "Oh,
Is
I'll
pizza
cover your
bribery?
lunches for you for a few weeks." It's all bribery, but it's just not money changing hands. Like,
Is
it's
it
not
is
cash.
it bribery if you eat it? If it's a slice of pizza, it's not money.
it's
It's
still
not
bribery.
cash.
Still bribery.
The rules are so stringent on this. Like, it's not fair.
I mean, it's what you're doing by going to the bakery and buying bread or a cupcake or whatever every time you go pick up something. It's the same. You're just moving
That's
to the
not
next
bribery
level of
because
handing someone cash.
If you get a receipt, that's not bribery.
But you weren't going to buy the cupcake otherwise. You're already down this rabbit hole. Fully.
Just take the next
Yeah,
step.
you're already in the tub. Just slowly lower yourself into the warm water of bribery. You'll be. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Like, you're not committing a crime, right? Like, nothing bad's happening. You're making it worth this guy's while. That's all it is.
You keep repeating this expression. It's really creepy, Mike.
But it's true, though, right? You're saying to him, like, "Oh, do me a favor," and he's like, "Why?" And you're just like, "Because I want my iPhone." Like, what's the reason?
So Mike, have you bribed somebody in the service industry for something? You seem to be
I've
comfortable
never
with it.
bribed anybody.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never done it.
I've never done it.
But in this case,
never
though,
done
I
this
would
before.
totally do this. Like, if I am Federico in this situation, 100%, I would say to the guy, "Please, can you do this? I'll make it worth your while."
Yeah.
I would do that. 100%,
And then you got to be
100%
done.
I would do it.
So after this, though, no more favors. Like you gotta reset, or the expectation
Well, no,
is going
you
to
could do
be
this
the
every
cash
year,
is involved with everything. You got to back off.
Someone on Twitter told me, "Have you considered buying gifts for the bakery and the UPS
You definitely
guy?"
should.
And
you've got to do that
I think I
anyway.
should.
That's the Christmas bonus, right? Like, so, like, we have a guy who does like caretaking services for our building, and
Is that
we
bribery?
give him
Buying gifts for
we give him a Christmas bonus, just so, like, if later on we might need something,
Yeah.
he might help us because he knows he's going to get a bonus from us
So
every year.
I went through this. You guys remember when I was collecting the 13 iMacs? As you might imagine,
Yeah.
actually like 17 showed up because I had to weed through some, and the boxes are very large and heavy. And turns out in my old house, I knew the UPS guy. We were in the same cycling club. And so one day I'm outside with my kids. He's like, oh, hey, man. I'm like, oh, you're the guy bringing all these iMacs every day. So sorry. And I was going to get him a gift, and then we moved. And I haven't seen him since. Like, I don't know if we're just not riding together anymore. But now I have this over my head. Like, if I see him, I feel like I got to have a gift in the trunk of my car, like ready to go at all times, because he lugged these heavy iMacs. And I wasn't even doing anything near the level of messing with the system that Federico is. So you should definitely do gifts for the bakery and the UBS guy. Yep. And you should just hit reset on all of this. Like, tell them, like, hey, if I'm not here, just like treat me like any other customer, or use one of those pickup locations. Like, Amazon just opened one at the Whole Foods around the corner from my house because they own Whole Foods. Like,
it is kind of wild, Federico, that you have a designated pickup locations that you can use, but yet you continue to use.
That's really troubling.
Well, it feels like I'm caught up in this
You
situation.
You're in a web of lies.
So pay this guy if you want to, and then like just back out. Like you go up and like touch the stove real quick with the cash, and then you're done. Like back out, be a normal person again, and then if you need to do something in the future, like the expectations are reset, but. You've got to back all the way out, or this guy is going to expect cash every time. Things may start happening to your deliveries. I mean, who knows? I don't know how we were talking about this again. It just keeps coming up. I do want to touch real quick on AppleCare. The costs are higher on this phone. So if you break the back glass on this phone, it is extremely expensive, like $549 for out of warranty repair. The screen repair is $279, which is more than the previous phones. It's an expensive phone with expensive parts. Buy AppleCare Plus.
It's the charging, right? It's the wireless charging stuff. All the coils. It's probably why it's more. The back is more expensive.
I assume all that's like one piece. You know.
So you break it, you've got to get it all replaced.
For $549, you could just go buy an iPhone 6. So don't break your phone. Put it in the case. I bought a case. I bought the Apple leather case, the black one, the one I use now. What did the two of you do, Mike? I know you've been talking about a bumper case. Have you found anything that has met your wildest dreams?
I've had a few options sent to me, but I haven't decided on one yet. In case I'm making one called the Frame, which looks pretty interesting, but I haven't seen it available for purchase anywhere yet, which is not surprising. I bought the silicone.
Yeah,
like you know, like the
Apple one.
The purple silicone one, because it looks great. I don't want to have a case on this, so I am also going to buy AppleCare whenever, if ever, I get one of these things. And then I want a bumper just so I have added protection, but I want to be able to hold the glass again like I did with the iPhone 4 line. Like, I miss that. Yeah. So that might be a road that I go down. But I am buying a case so I can put it straight in a case until I end up eventually getting AppleCare on it.
Yeah. So with that, you have to take the phone into a store. You have to prove it's not broken. Federico, you said that's what you're going to be doing. The AppleCare is expensive, but you already spent $1,000 on a phone. Like, we're already past the point of this being ridiculous for most people.
You have to take it into the store. That's so frustrating. I don't
so.
want to do that.
I think maybe you can do it. I'm Googling. I think maybe you can. They do like some sort of diagnostic on it over the internet. I don't really know, but you have to basically prove that it's not broken. So if you've like smashed your phone, then you can't, show up. So here we go. Purchase AppleCare Plus with your new phone, or buy it within 60 days. So you only have 2 months, Mike. So don't mess that up. Online, it verifies your serial number to run a remote diagnostic. Go to an Apple store, or call a 1-800 number. And again, it requires a remote diagnostic. So you can do it in your own home, but you got to do it within 60 days. There'll be a link to that in the show notes. You can read about it.
Yep. K-Base, probably.
Always.
All right. Should we talk about reviews?
Yes.
Because all the reviews are coming out today. All right. Well, I say today, the last couple of days. But before we do, let me thank our last sponsor for this week's episode, and that is Encapsula. Encapsula will help you delight visitors to your site whilst frustrating attackers, all because of their bulletproof security options and fast content delivery network. Some seriously huge companies use Encapsula every day. Fortune 500 companies, in fact. But it's not just corporate giants. Over 100,000 organizations love and use Encapsula to protect their website. Big or small, Encapsula can help make your site run faster, can protect you, and make sure everything that runs smoothly. Not only will they block your site from attackers, they'll also keep the user experience fast and smooth, so your visitors can enjoy your content undisturbed. Their customer service team have years of security and networking expertise, and they're at your disposal 24/7, and you'll get personal account management with the best service level agreement in the business. Whether you're a one-person website or a huge company, Encapsula have got you covered. As a listener of this show, you can get 1 whole month of service for free. All you need to do is go to encapsula.com/connected. That's INCAPSULA.com/connected. Check it out now to find out more about what Encapsula can do for you and claim that free month. Give Encapsula a try. You're not going to regret it. Thank you so much to Encapsula for their support of this show and Relay FM. So, iPhone X reviews have been staggering out over the last couple of days. So there were a couple of things that happened yesterday, which was Monday the 30th. Stephen Levy of Backchannel/Wired published a first impressions post as kind of a callback to the fact that he was one of the people that got the original iPhone. Then there were a smattering of YouTube videos. So there were like a large selection of videos from not the usual suspects. So there isn't like MKBHD or Unbox Therapy or TLD Today. Like the big tech YouTubers weren't in this. But it was more kind of middle ground YouTubers. A bunch of people that I've been familiar with, like as a guy that I subscribe to called Your Average Consumer. He was there. He had a video. There was like a bunch of different YouTubers that have videos. And they're kind of like, I say mid-level, but it's like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, right? But like in the YouTube tech world, that is mid-level because the top tier is like millions of subscribers. And it was seen, what it looked like, it was a large selection of videos. Well, Sarah Dici had one too. She's really great. I'll put some links to some of these in the show notes in case you want to see them. What it looked like is that there were a bunch of videos that went out having all been recorded in the same place. So what it appears to have been was a location in New York that Apple had set up to kind of look like a demo area that exists after a hands-on, like it's after an event, like the hands-on type stuff. And obviously, if you're given that kind of access as a content creator, you are going to call it a review, right? This is my review. But really, it was more like extended hands-ons. That's kind of the way that it ended up being. It was like big hands-on videos from a couple of relatively large-size YouTubers and some magazines and stuff like that. They were pretty surface level because obviously these people had only had a small amount of time, I think, to spend with the devices because they were just kind of in a confined environment. And then that was kind of it for Monday. And it was a interesting, different approach.
Yeah, it's usually what we see are sort of the standard reviewers, Verge, Daring Fireball, etc., hit the embargo and drop all at the same time. And I think we were all expecting that, and that is what happened. We're going to talk about that. But instead, we saw this sort of smattering of these YouTube videos that are really, I agree with you, are hands-on. I don't think the label's that important. Is it a review? Is it a walkthrough? No one knows. But I watched a bunch of them. I follow some of these channels already, and some of them I didn't. And I thought it was kind of nice to see people's takes on it who aren't like steeped in the technology that we are. And some of the details are wrong and whatever. Like it's a different approach. And if you've been paying attention to Apple PR, a different approach should not be that surprising. It is. Apple PR has changed rapidly over the past few years under new leadership, and I think they are more willing to try new things. Like those big name YouTubers that you mentioned get Apple press event invites. It's like people like MKBHD or Jonathan Morrison are at events. Like they're in the Steve Jobs Theater, like doing the hands-on and the deal. And this is sort of like one step past that. So it's Apple continuing to evolve their who they use to get their messaging out.
And then today, the 31st, a bunch of reviews dropped from the usual suspects. So, there was reviews from TechCrunch, The Verge, I think Mashable, BuzzFeed. Jason Snell had a review. and MKBHD published a video. There's a bunch of stuff that's come out today, which are more kind of your standard reviews. You know, they're bigger and they're written and et cetera, et cetera. But one of the differences here is that, save for some exceptions, most of these individuals got the devices yesterday.
Yeah.
This is very unusual. Usually these devices are given out to journalists and reviewers weeks and weeks in advance, right? Or days in advance.
Yeah,
I
well,
should say.
about a
Weeks and
week.
weeks was a bit of a
Weeks and
stretch,
weeks
but
is a
days
little-
and days,
yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So they're given out an amount of time in advance. These weren't so much. And then kind of, from there, for some people, it kind of tainted the way that they reviewed it. Like, for example, the Verge review is almost completely focused on the fact that they've only had the device for a short period of time.
Yeah.
It was a really great review because Nilay is awesome, but I feel like they spent a little bit more, too much time in their review talking about the kind of point that's inside baseball when they actually got the device.
Yeah, I think they probably, David Pierce at Wired did the same thing. He's like, I got this 5 minutes, and the first 5 minutes of the video is him literally setting up the phone. I think it's just hard for people to separate that, but it's insane that Jason got a review out. You guys are going to talk about it on Upgrade this week, but most of these are like sort of unboxing or first impressions, being more fair to the situation that they're in. Some people push through like Jason did. I think he's awesome for doing it. But a lot of these bigger publications are saying, "Hey, we just got it. We're going to do a full review, but this is sort of a setup." And the thing that is true about most of these sort of big reviews or hands-on and the YouTube ones are that they're basically the design, so you get to see the phone, setting up and using Face ID, which all of them talk about, and the camera, and things like sort of the more traditional review stuff like battery testing or like what's it like to live with this new size or what's wireless charging. Like that stuff will come later, but these sort of early limited time things basically force most of these stories to be just about the essentials, and that's what most people who watch these are going to care about. What is Face ID like? What's the camera like? And so they can answer those questions and then leave the detail for a second, smaller cycle.
So this is what I've been thinking about, right? Like, there's been a lot of people kind of hand-wringing today about why is this happening? Why are these unknown people getting it first? Why are they only giving 24 hours to all of the established names? This is clearly a new strategy, and I actually think it's quite a smart one. So this is kind of the things that I've been thinking about. Point one is, who does it serve for Apple to give these devices to tech blogs? Like, who is it serving? Like, if an Apple-focused tech blog, right, they're kind of just preaching to the converted. People that are likely to buy it and or have made their decision. Like a lot of people, I don't think are necessarily waiting for the reviews to make their decision if they're in a particular bracket. Of course, there will be people like that, but I think a lot of audiences of these types of websites, kind of like Jason's website, Daring Fireball, The Loop, Macworld, right? Like these people have already made their decisions, I think, by this point as to whether they're going to buy it now. And I don't know if a review is going to change much of that. And frankly, the iPhone is as mass market as a product can be. So why wouldn't they push this out wider, like to more mainstream publications? Why wouldn't they give it to fashion.com? Why don't they give it to BuzzFeed? I mean, I think BuzzFeed, they were one of the sites that had it for a week. It looked like they had it for a longer period of time. And then they pick like one website, TechCrunch, to one technology site to have it for longer because for whatever reason, they've picked the people that they think can tell their story the way that they want it to be told, because that's what this is. Like, PR is not a democracy, right? Like it is a specific thing that is chosen for Apple to be able to get their message out in the same way. And then by doing the way that they've done things with like the kind of the extended hands-on and then some reviews, and they give people a short lead time, I think what we're going to do is we're going to see in-depth coverage all week, which is not normal. Usually it's like reviews come out, then there might be the odd story here and there, right? But we got a bunch of press on Monday because it was this big thing that was just happening. Like it just started to happen and nobody knew what's going on. Tuesday, you start getting reviews. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to see people having bigger columns that haven't published yet. Like, as of this recording, there's nothing from the Wall Street Journal, but they're working on something. And Joanna Stern's been posting, like, pictures of, like, a 3D model of her face, right? Which seems quite fun, right? You can see what she's going to do with that. There's nothing from Daring Fireball yet. The Verge is still saying that they're going to have an actual review coming. MKBHD will have a review coming. Like, this stuff is going to continue to move forward. I think that one of the problems with Apple and the way that they communicate is that they tend to do things by trend, so that when they break a trend, people think that something's broken, like something's wrong.
Totally.
Rather than maybe they've just changed the way they do things. And I think the last 12 to 18 months has shown that they are changing all of this stuff. The way that they communicate has changed significantly in the last year or two. So what they have done is they have decided that this old way of having these like strict embargoed reviews of giving people products for a week, this is not how it's going to be anymore. They're changing the narrative. They're changing the way that this stuff is done. And I actually think from a pure like getting your message out perspective, giving people these devices and getting yourself a week's worth of coverage is genius. I think it's a really good idea.
I do too. There's a really good blog post by our friend Matt Alexander. It'll be in the show notes, basically outlining what you just said, but he's got a good background in PR. He's sort of explaining why that longer cycle is important. And yeah, it's different, and clearly some people were not a fan or were very confused or freaking out or showing that they're maybe a little out of touch. But I think it's interesting the Monday releases that sort of mostly younger, less known YouTubers. Jason, we were talking in Slack earlier, mentioned that most of these channels are still bigger than popular tech podcasts, right? So, like, I'd love for tech podcasters to have access to this stuff, but we're further down the chain. But this is like,
plus it's better to have a visual medium to show off your beautiful new phone.
Totally, especially in a phone that looks crazy pants, right? Like this phone looks all new. But they have different audiences. A lot of these YouTubers do tech stuff, but they also do vlogs and do some other types of content that people who may be listening to our shows or even us, we may not be their audience. And I think something that came to mind this morning for me is that Samsung spends a ton of money and time in this audience. So Samsung is, especially like the New York vlog scene, like Casey Neistat and those people, Samsung does a lot of stuff on those channels. They do a lot of events. Those people get review units from Samsung. And I think it's been very successful for them. And I think Apple is smart to look at that sort of media. Like people, like I've just closed Twitter for the day. People arguing, these people are not going to replace John Gruber and Jason Snell and Matt Panzarino. Well, one day they will. Like one day we'll all be gone, and what we do will be seen as sort of one type of media. And I think the YouTube side of things is a different type. And yes, that you can make fun of the videos and you can make fun that they're on skateboards and use GoPros and use jump cuts. Like some people are very upset about the editing. It doesn't matter. It does not matter because their audience is important for Apple to reach. And Apple PR is not about what we want. Any PR, company PR, like you said, it's not democracy. It's what the company wants. Like, who does PR serve? It serves the company. Like, companies have PR groups internally and externally, so they sell more products. And using younger but extremely influential in their spheres YouTubers is brilliant when you think about it that way. Now, are all those people, all the audience, going to rush out and buy $1,000 phones? No, but not everyone who's listening to Connected is running out and buying a $1,000 phone because we've talked about it either. But it's about getting this device and getting the hype for this device into the audiences of these YouTubers. And, like I said, I watched almost all of them and the excitement is there. You can tell they're excited to be there. Yeah, it's not as professional as someone who's been doing this for a long time. But again, it doesn't matter because I think they were doing a very good job at showing the device to their audiences in a way that their audiences want them to do. Like some of these channels I've watched for a long time, and their Apple videos are right in line with the other type of content they make. It's not like they sort of put on the suit and tie to go talk about Apple. They're doing it in a way that's authentic to what they do on their channel. And I think if there are people in our community who really freaked out about that, and I would say like all of us, like those of us in the media, those who just consume media, like we should think about this and really, instead of making fun about their style or about what they do, or, and some of them did better jobs than others, right? But that's true of the mainstream press as well. Like really understand what Apple is doing here. And if we make the conversation about that, then I think it all makes a lot more sense than complaining about the way they edit their videos. That's just stupid. Like, I mean, and I think sort of the last thing, and I'll be quiet. I'll go for my soapboxes. As someone who has worked in tech media now, really 9 years since I started blogging, I remember the first times I got like breaks, and the first time I got my content in front of people who I respected. Like the first interaction I ever had with Jason Snell, I don't even know if he knows this. I wrote something in reply to what he wrote on Macworld, and he emailed me disagreeing with my point, and we had a back and forth, and I think we came to an understanding, and then he tweeted publicly about it, like, hey, we had a chat, full credit to Steven for whatever. And that meant the world to me at the time, because I still look up to Jason, but I looked up to him then as well. And the fact that he read something that I wrote, even if he disagreed with it, meant a lot. And anyone who has a blog remembers, if you've been on Daring Fireball the first time that's happened, or the first time that your favorite writer or podcast mentions, like, that means things to people. And I don't want our community to be beating up on these YouTubers, because it's a big deal for their careers, right? That some of these channels are getting promotion this week that they've never gotten before. And it's exciting for them to be invited. It'd be exciting for Mike or Federico, to be invited to an Apple event. Federico has, and it was exciting for him. And so there's that angle too that I really find disheartening, of like, this is a big deal for these creators, and we should be excited that they get the opportunity to do this. And that, so what if they don't make something that we agree with or that we like 100% of their decisions? It's good for Apple. It's good for these creators. And like, I think we should all just grow up a little bit.
So I have two thoughts here. The first one is, if you take a look at the type of people who worked on these first impressions on YouTube, it's a very diverse type of creator. In the sense, there's a good variety of non-white men who are about 40 to 50 years old, and to have this kind of representation among the people who get some kind of early access to the new iPhone, I think it's great news. And I think that is showing how, to some degree, Apple is going sort of beyond the usual circle of middle-aged bloggers, and I'm counting myself into that group, who get access to some Apple hardware when it comes out. So, there's if you take a look at the channels that get access to this hands-on area, if you take a look at the people who are talking in these videos, you can see that it tends to be more diverse than what we usually see when it's embargo time, and you see the review on The Verge, and you see the iPhone on Daring Fireball, and you see maybe an iPad on Mac Stories. So that's great. But also, besides the social aspect of increasing the group of people who can talk about new Apple hardware beforehand, let's consider this from our own perspective of the traditional media, tech blogs and publications with websites where they put out text. I think it is, if you think about it, it is counterintuitive, and it is actually counterproductive to be sort of bitter and maybe unwelcoming to new types of tech reviews and tech audiences, because it is those people who have a different kind of audience and maybe a wider audience that later, those people can make younger minds or new types of people interested in tech. And to expose maybe a teenager to what it means to test an iPhone before it comes out, or to expose a family, like someone like my mother, for example, she can watch a video, she can understand what is going on, and it is those people that will maybe later become geeks and obsessed with tech, and it's that kind of audience that we cultivate on tech blogs. So to be against new forms of media, it is effectively, if you think about it, the worst move that we can possibly make, because we need to make sure that new people, that fresh minds are constantly exposed to these interests, to tech news, to iPhones or to Google phones, whatever. So all I'm saying is, to think that Apple is doing the wrong move here, or any company is doing the wrong move by going beyond the traditional tech review, I think it's not only, personally, I think it's wrong from a social and human level, but if you only want to talk about the business aspect, I think it's not the best move that we can make, because our entire businesses are predicated upon the fact that there's people who want to know more about technology. And so eventually, the 50-year-olds that read Mac Stories, that read The Verge, those people maybe in 20, 30 years, they will die because this is what we do. I'm just being honest. And so it's a cycle, and we need to move on with the times. And YouTube is now a big deal, and these folks from these channels will one day be a big deal. And it matters that, one, there's a representation, but two, that we constantly have new people reading what we want to write and watching the videos that we want to make. So to not welcome those people is wrong on so many levels, if you ask me. It's really not what I was expecting some part of the Apple community to do when Apple did it. Yes, I was surprised. Because it was a strange embargo strategy. It was an unusual PR move. But the fact alone that we are talking about this, I think it proves that Apple PR succeeded. I'm just a little sad when I tweeted, for example, a link to Sarah Dici video, and I got a bunch of nasty replies, and that's a little disheartening. Every time it happens, and I've seen others being a little peculiar about this what Apple did, which is sad. If you ask me, it's really sad, but it is what it is. And I just think that it's awesome that more people got to, in some limited fashion. I actually wish they had actual review units, if you ask me, but I think it's awesome that more people can talk about this stuff. And from my personal point of view, when it comes to my business, to my website, the more people can read about technology and develop an interest, a hobby in technology, the better it is for me personally. But the bigger picture is, the more people, the more diverse group of people that can talk about this stuff, the better for everyone it is.
Well said. So the iPhone 10 looks good. We haven't really spoken about it. There's a new phone. I think we might as well just wait now until next week. I mean, me and Jason on Upgrade today. Jason has one, right? So we're gonna review it. So if you want to get some thoughts from someone who actually has one of these devices, you can go to relay.fm/upgrade. There'll be an episode posted maybe by the time you're hearing this or shortly after, so you can get that if you want to. But I think this was a worthwhile discussion because it's something that seems to have upset the apple cart a little bit in kind of the community that we're involved in.
Yeah.
And I think that they're all points well made by you guys. So I think we should maybe put a full stop on it today, and then hopefully next week we can have our review of the iPhone 10. So if you want to catch our show notes for this week, go to relay.fm/connected/166. Thanks again to our fine sponsors, Away, Timing, and Incapsula. And if you want to find Federico online, macstories.net, he's at Vitici on Twitter. Stephen is 512pixels.net, he's at ISMH. And I am at iMyke, IMYKE. And we'll be back next time. Until then, say goodbye, guys.
Arrivederci.
Adios.